Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Online Sunday School. This week, we are traveling to the book of Mark to learn an interesting story about Jesus and the disciples. Are you familiar with the story where Jesus calms the storm? Well, if you are, we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. And if you're not, that's what we're talking about, and you will be familiar by the end of this lesson. I have our Bible storybook here, and we are going to read the Bible story together. So it's from the book of Mark, chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. And before we read, I'll show you the pictures. So, oh my goodness. There's a boat, and it is just filled with people. And there's Jesus. It looks like they had some trouble. We're going to find out what that's about. The sun is setting. There's clouds. Let's find out what happened. Jesus had been teaching the crowds all day. Jesus said to his followers, "Let's go across to the other side of the lake." They took a boat out onto the water. Big, strong winds began blowing the water against and into the boat. The disciples were scared, but Jesus was asleep in the back of the boat. The disciples woke Jesus up and said, "Teacher, don't you care that we are drowning?" Jesus got up and told the wind to be silent and still. The wind settled down and everything was calm. Jesus asked the disciples, "Why are you afraid? Don't you have faith yet?" The disciples were filled with wonder because of what Jesus had done. They looked at each other and said, "Who is this man? The wind and the sea obey him." What a story, right? Even if you are familiar with this story, every time I read it, it's just amazing, isn't it? Jesus calms a storm, a literal storm. The disciples and Jesus are in a boat, and the boat is crashing around in the waves, and there's rain, and water's coming up from the ocean into the boat, or the lake into the boat, and the disciples are panicking because who wouldn't be panicking? And then they wake Jesus up, and he tells the storm to be still. And just like that, the winds stop, and the water settles, and everything's okay. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. We do have a wonder question this week, like we have some weeks during our lesson. Our wonder question is in our Bible story. I wonder, have you ever been afraid? And then what did you do to calm your fear? Have you ever been afraid? What do you do when you're afraid? Sometimes when I'm afraid, I think about something to distract me, or sometimes I will pray to God to take away my fear or to help me get through the time when I'm afraid. I don't know. What do you like to do when you're afraid? So one thing that we can remember from this lesson is that we get afraid all the time, I'm sure. Maybe you not so much, but I know I get afraid a lot about different things. And the disciples were afraid sometimes too, like they were afraid in our Bible story of the storm and being in the boat, and they were afraid they were going to drown. Sometimes storms are scary, right? And they woke Jesus up, and Jesus said, "Don't be afraid." And I think that part of the point of this Bible story and what Jesus did is not that we should never be afraid, and Jesus doesn't think we're silly for being afraid, but Jesus reminds us that he's always here for us. God is always here for us, and God can help get us through even the scariest of times. So that's a helpful thing for me to remember, is that God understands if sometimes I am scared, and God is there to be a comfort to me, and God is there to be a comfort to you as well. So our craft for today is a lot of fun. I don't think we've done anything like this in online Sunday school so far. And I'll tell you what you need. You need some kind of bottle with some kind of lid. So this might be like just a little plastic Coke bottle, or I have this glass bottle that has a little lid that latches. You might have a glass jar, some kind of a bottle with a lid. And if your bottle doesn't have a lid that closes very tightly, and if you want this craft to be permanent, you might want to ask someone who takes care of you to help you, when we're all done, glue the lid to the bottle, and you can save it forever. But you might want to ask someone who lives with you before you start gluing lids onto bottles. Always a good idea. So if you need some glue, glue will also be like Elmer's glue, school glue, hot glue, whatever you have, will also be something you will need for this craft. I'm not going to use glue, but you might need some. And then you want some blue food coloring. And you can go ahead and fill up your bottle with some water. I have this jar of water, or this pitcher of water. But you're going to want your bottle to be filled, not completely up, but most of the way up. So some water for your bottle. And then stuff to go in your bottle. So I'll tell you what it's going to be, is we're going to put water in here in the blue food coloring. And you want the lid to be on good and tight, because we're going to put some stuff in here that when you shake it, it looks like a storm. Like you're in the storm, like the disciples and Jesus were in the storm. So if you have any seashells or plastic sea toys, like little fish or something, or if you have like glitter glue or plain old glitter or anything like that, you can put that in your bottle as well. You'll need those supplies. I don't have any glitter. I don't love to use glitter, but I have some beads that I'm going to put in mine and pretend they're little ocean rocks and seashells. And I have some of these fancy things, these little sparkly gems, and I'm going to put some in there as well. So when I shake it, it'll be all shiny. Okay, that was a lot of setup, but let's get started. So you need your bottle, and you need to fill up with water. I'm going to try to not make a huge mess and do this in real time. So fill up your bottle with water. Again, not all the way to the top, but you want to fill up a good bit because we want to have a lot of water to be able to shake around. Okay, that's pretty good. So it's almost to the top, but not quite. And then if you have any glitter glue or just regular glitter or whatever else you want to add to your storm water bottle, you'll put that in. So I'm going to add some of my beads. Also, you're putting food coloring in here, so whatever you put in your bottle, if you want to get it out at some point, just know that it might be colored by your food coloring. So this may be something that you need to run by someone who takes care of you and just make sure that whatever you're putting in your bottle is okay to use. And it's okay if the food coloring changes the color of it. Maybe ask someone. Okay, I'm just gonna put a few of these beads in so something will be shiny and show up in my water bottle. Can you see them? Little beads. And then I'm going to put in some of these little gems. We'll see what this does. This is all just a grand experiment. I have not tried any of this before. I'm just going to try it out. Put a few of these in, different sizes. They look shiny. It's interesting to see what floats and what sinks, isn't it? Okay, clean that later. All right, and then the food coloring. You might have to change the number of drops depending on how big or small your water bottle is. Look how cool that is. That looks so neat. Okay, I just put in 3 or 4 drops. You can always add more. Food coloring when it's going through water just looks so cool, doesn't it? Can you see it? Look at that. That is so cool. Okay. So we can close our water bottle and secure the lid and make sure it's on good and tight. And this is where if you need to ask someone if you have like a plastic water bottle or something that you want to reuse over and over again, you might ask someone to glue your lid on or help you glue your lid on. And if you're just gonna use it and then reuse your jar or whatever for something else, you don't need glue, but just make sure the lid is really secure, because remember what happened in our story? They were in a storm, right? So we need to shake the water bottle and make it look like a storm. And then when you get it good and shaken up, you can hold it and see all the things, all the bubbles and all the things you put in there spinning around. It reminds us of the disciples and Jesus in the boat. And then when you stop shaking it, everything gets calm. And that reminds us that Jesus calmed the storm. That is a pretty cool activity. So if you've decided that this is something that you want to save for yourself and you put it in a bottle that you can use over and over again and you glue the lid on, this can be something that you have and you can use whenever you are scared of something, and you can go get your water bottle and shake it up and remind yourself that Jesus calms the storm. And even though you feel scared, and it's okay to feel scared, Jesus is there with you, and Jesus and God will help you get through it. That's really comforting, isn't it? Should we do one more for good measure? I think we should. Take your bottle and shake it. Get it all shaken up. And look at all the things you put in it. Shaking around and the bubbles, and then stop. Look how it all starts to settle down. That's pretty neat. Okay, did you enjoy today's Sunday school lesson? I definitely did, and we were able to talk about a story of Jesus. We've been talking a lot about the parables of Jesus and the Lord's Prayer that Jesus taught us, and then today was a story of something that happened to Jesus and the disciples. It's pretty awesome. It's a really awesome story, Jesus calming the storm. So next time you get scared, remember, Jesus and God are always with you to help you get through it. And after today's lesson is over, you should go find someone who lives with you and tell them about what you learned today. Tell them about the craft that you made and about the Bible story, about what Jesus did, because Jesus is awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and today's Bible story, and I'm so glad that you joined in for our Sunday school lesson. Happy Valentine's Day. P.S. Today is Valentine's Day. Sending lots of love from me to you. I love you all so much. And I hope you have a great week. I think most of us are off work and school tomorrow, so enjoy that as well. I will see you next week. Have a great week, and